pin block?
Well, you have to have one to be production
because
legal.
it comes with it. So if you disable it, you're disabling a safety and in turn cheating.
Yeah, supposedly, kind of like not fitting in the box. But so my question was, extended firing pin block works with Henning, and it works with extreme firing pin. Okay, the 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
We had our Henning firing pin because my dad's is a Henning and I'm running a extreme. His caught up the other day and it dropped the back of the, you know what I mean, the back of the firing pin block thing.
Yeah, you'll lose that.
Yeah, how often has that happened to you? Because we've shot it like 600 times now and it's only happened once.
What kind of firing pin block are you running? A stock?
I'm running the extended one. Whatever Eric Raffel sells on his website, that's what I'm running.
I ran the extended firing pin block with the Eric Raffel Extreme, and I had no issues, not one. And I sat there and dry fired the crap out of it with a pencil, making sure I was getting a strike each time.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm doing right now with this. But I'm just wondering if I should just transfer over to the Extreme. Anyways, we're going live. So, what's up?
Hello.
Pink Brolios. We got Tanfo here. Juani, you got your Tanfo?
No.
Oh, bummer.
No, it's in the bathroom or somewhere.
I gotta mute myself. Hold on.
Okay, so today we're gonna talk about breaking out of hibernation because it is still snowy winter, right, over there in Idaho.
Oh yeah, we're at 30, 40 degrees right now.
Yeah, Washington's going up to now about 50 degrees, so it's like summertime now.
God, I'd be wearing shorts.
Oh, yeah. We had an indoor match the other week, and it was like shorts, and it was 27 degrees outside. And so for like 2 minutes that I had to walk outside, I was freezing my nuts off, and then for the rest of the time, it felt amazing. It was like so much freedom. It was awesome. So.
You guys all have hibernation time then over the winter?
I took 2.5 months off where I shot maybe like 2 IDPA matches and that was it. And so I just shot my first USPSA match last weekend with Kenny, and it was horrible. The weather started off kind of reasonable, but I don't know what we got down to with the wind, but it was pretty bad with your hands and stuff. It got worse
as the day went on. It got colder and colder because the wind picked up.
Yeah, but I mean, I definitely missed it. No matter how cold it was or how bad I shot, I was like, God, it's good to be back. So now I'm kind of getting my head together as far as getting out of hibernation mode. So.
Did you have hibernation, Kenny?
No, I don't hibernate. I'm year-round. It sucks in the winter. It's cold, but.
So you still practice in wintertime?
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been dry firing as much as I was. Well, I really ramped up dry fire like a month or two before Nationals, and I was dry firing regularly before that. But I'd say for a solid month, like for a month before Nationals, it was like at least 5 days a week, at least an hour a day, at least, which when you got a wife and a kid and a full-time job is like all my spare time. So, but yeah, now it's like I was still shooting matches. I was dry firing every once in a while, but I had a bad match on Sunday. Did we shoot Saturday or Sunday? I don't remember.
We shot Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, and it was okay, but it just felt all discombobulated. I couldn't string together more than one solid good stage, and it was like, ugh, I need to not just shoot matches. I love shooting matches; it's good practice, but I need to get back on dry fire too, to do both.
Right. How about you, Lloyd?
I took. Let's see. What time do we end? When did we shoot Utah State? August.
August.
So I shot September, October, about my birthday. Yeah, maybe a couple weeks after my birthday. I stopped until January 1st. Yep. I shot the occasional indoor match, but nothing else other than that. And shot an indoor match this last week. I ended up taking second. Almost won, but popped a no-shoot with a double action, and that tends to happen when that happens. You don't really stand too much of a chance in 3 stages. So, but yeah, I'm dry firing now. I'm doing hour and a half, maybe some days 2 hours a day. So I'm doing twice a day, and then live fire twice, 3 times a week. So.
Yeah, I had really good hibernation too. I took December off, the whole month, and then I did the first match last Sunday, and actually I didn't do any live fire before I went to the match, and then I actually did live fire training after my first match to break out of hibernation, and then I figure to break out of hibernation for me was just to be able to feel the grip pressure again. Because if I don't do live fire, I often forget how much grip pressure I need in order to make faster splits. For accurate shooting, it didn't matter. Amazingly, I still had accuracy. I was able to hit groups in 50 yards and stuff. But then what I lose was the fast accuracy. So 0.2 seconds at 7 yard, I shot it the very first time I did live fire, and then I shot Alpha Charlies. I kept shooting Alpha Charlies, so I decided that I need to think what I'm doing wrong. And then what I was doing wrong was my grip pressure was weaker than before. And then once I got that proper grip pressure that makes 0.2 splits to alpha at 7 yard, and then I figured my grip pressure, and then everything came back. So for me, to break hibernation wasn't really looking at the site or site picture or site tracking. I still had site tracking, or even after a month of no shooting. But what I lost was a grip pressure. So for me to break out hibernation is just go back to the range. Actually, I shot maybe 300 rounds, and then that was good enough to get my grip pressure back, and everything was just almost as, not the same, but maybe 95%, 90% of the shooting technique I had before hibernation.
Yeah, I could tell my grip really failed through the break. There was one classifier where I shot Alpha Mike twice on the same target, and then there was a couple times where I drew the gun and I felt like I was holding the gun like down here. I mean, I wasn't, but that's how sloppy my grip felt. So that's definitely something I'm going to be focusing on too, is just gripping that gun better. I mean, I got really sloppy over the break on that.
Well, weren't we talking about it as me, you, and Wani were talking about how we found out how much my dad grips? So me and my dad were dry firing the other night. We ripped off our skin on our strong hands, like ripped it off. I grip more around my knuckles, so it started to rip off actually the skin on my knuckles. But my dad tore his up all along there, and then his. I don't want to do that. So
yeah. And I mean, with grip, we can, to an extent, we all shoot, metal 9mm minus Kenny. We can get away with some slight, variances in grip, because we're shooting a 9mm, metal gun. But I picked up a single stack to play with a little bit with Kenny and Major. It's a 40 cal, and that's something that I won't be able to afford to do. I mean, I've got to really get a better grip and utilize it more. I won't get away with what I do with my stock 3 9mm. It just won't happen with a Trojan 40.
It'll be a good thing. Even if you just do it every once in a while to shoot the single stack. Like I love it, but if it ends up just being like, once every month or once every couple of months you shoot single stack just for fun, when you transition back to your 9, hopefully, if you use it as a training tool, if you grip it the same way, you'll feel like your 9 doesn't move. It moves a little, it does, but I noticed the same thing that like we had talked before on the first time, that Wyatt was saying that he shot like a limited gun, like a well-built, full, major power factor limited gun for the first time, and that he was like blown away by how much it recoiled, and it's totally true. You just have to really, really, really grip down hard on it, and it's not like that same exact amount of grip pressure is also super beneficial for a minor gun. It's just not completely necessary. Yeah. Instead of gripping 100% on your minor gun, if you grip 80%, you can still do almost as well. It's not a big drop off, but 100% still better. But if you're only gripping, like semi-firm and you've got a major power factor gun, even a big heavy one, they're still flipping around. You really bear down on them.
Yeah, well, two things. What you just said is something I'm looking forward to with the single stack, and something else is what Juani just kind of taught me recently. With the Tang Folio, you have a very tall frame and a very short slide, and I get in the habit of overusing my weak hand thumbs, and I need to focus on using my weak hand fingers a little bit more. With the Trojan, I can't put my thumbs up that high, or I'm going to be slowing the slide down, or I'm going to be catching it. And so it's going to force me to keep my thumbs off that slide pressure like I used to, and focus more on these fingers. So that's the second thing I'm also looking forward to with a single stack gun. You know, is kind of forcing that habit to go away.
Yeah, somebody brought that up on Facebook. Actually, they were talking about their grip, and they took a picture of their grip or whatever. And I had like a really good picture of like my left hand. And for me, what's important, and like I've tried the whole like rock that left hand crazy forward, you know, the Vogel thing, and it works awesome for him. Doesn't work great for me. For me, it's like what works better is to make sure that my left fingers kind of get in between the other ones. Like instead of riding, if I do that forward thing, it's like they ride on those knuckles, and I want them to be in between, so then I can like clamp down hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same here. I tried the super forward one.
It doesn't work for me.
Then it didn't work because it tenses up my ankle area. It didn't work.
Yeah. The idea of it makes a lot of sense. And there's dudes that it works for. I think it just depends on your hand, like your hand size and the size of the grip. It's just not gonna work for everybody, you know.
Yeah, and Wyatt told me that his left hand actually covers his knuckle, and I don't go that far. I have pretty long fingers, but I have really big palm, and over here is fine. It's like right before the knuckle area. That's the stopping point. I don't cover it at all.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
If I grip really hard, I can get to my middle knuckle right there.
Oh yeah, mine don't go there. My fingers don't go there.
If I'm gripping it like I really like to, it's gripping, usually like that, yeah.
Jesus.
And I have fairly large palms and fairly short fingers, so I can't do that whole wrap forward thing because there's like nothing for me to hold on to, even with a single set. That super wrap forward thing. But if you see a guy like Vogel, again, that has that crazy aggressive, he's got gorilla hands. He's got huge hands. So it works great for him. You know, he engulfs the whole grip because he can do it. Another guy we shoot with, the Australian, dude's got gorilla hands. So he can grip it however he wants. He grips it so hard that his 2011 doesn't drop mags all the time because he grips the plastic grip too hard.
Yeah, one of the interesting thing at the range, when I got my grip back, it kind of reminded me of Eric Raffel recently did a periscope with JJ Rakaza on JJ Rakaza's periscope. And then they were talking about how Eric Raffel's grip is different than most people because his index finger is covering the trigger guard. But then they agreed on one method on gripping. You know, Eric Raffel, JJ said, your index finger on trigger guard, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This whole finger gripping is the same thing, but the key is to kind of clamp the gun. And Eric Raffel actually said, pull this left hand and then push it with your strong hand. He explains it that way, but other guy, I forgot his name, but somebody said you're going to vice your grip, this part, this ankle, and this ankle. Oh, it's not ankle, it's wrist. Both wrists will cramp it like a vice.
Yeah.
Then I realized they're talking the same thing. Pull and push. If you think about it, if you pull this part and if you push this part, it's kind of doing the cramping thing, vice thing. And then I realized the grip pressure is very important in terms of gripping your fingers hard, but not only that, it's also important to mitigate that vice grip thing because the gun comes back and comes up.
Yeah.
So there was some.
It's all about the left hand that people don't agree, and maybe not don't agree. It's just whether it works or not for them. You know, like my thumb rides higher than a lot of people think is good, but I've tried other places, and like my thumb totally drags on the slide. I try not to put pressure on it this way. I'm just gripping hard with my hand, and my thumb's just there. But everybody agrees with the right hand that it's like bury as deep as you can up in the beaver tail, and make room with your thumb so you can get, you know what I mean? But a lot of people, like my left thumb rides up high like that, and it pretty much always has, but it's not an issue. With my thumb up like that, I have the most gripping power, you know? With my thumb down like this, I can't squeeze as hard, so it goes up.
Yeah, first time when I started, one of the biggest mistake I did was I try to grip the gun with my arms. Grip is supposed to be with your hands, and what I was trying to do is I also heard push and pull method. I tried it really hard, but what I was doing is I actually was trying to pull and push with my whole arm, not my grip. Now I realized grip is just merely your hands, not your whole arm. So I see many people really tense up the whole arm, whole body, but it's really bad mistake to try to grip the gun with the whole arm instead of just grip.
There's a solution to that. I actually took a class from a local guy here, and he said that you'll start to actually shake. Your front sight will shake. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the more that you flex, like the sight will shake, and that's usually because you're flexing your neck muscles and your biceps and your triceps and all that. You're flexing the wrong muscles essentially.
How could you grip with your shoulders, man? That's crazy.
Well, so like if I grip as hard as I can, you probably can't see it, but the gun starts to shake a lot. And then if you bring the gun into here with that same grip, so if I come back to here and you extend it back out, your muscles have relaxed, and they'll go back to the smooth position, and that'll show you how much you need to grip.
Now I got a question for all three of you guys. Are you ever thinking about your grip while you're shooting, or is it just so natural from your dry fire practice?
It's natural.
Just natural, never thinking about what you like, where your placement is or something off.
Oh, that's
it's definitely not natural. It's not something that I automatically do in the match. How I do is actually when I do walkthrough, I actually have to grip my hands and then program myself to grip actually as hard as I need to do. Does it make sense? If I don't do walkthrough and then just someone tell me, okay, go shoot the stage, if I didn't do walkthrough, my grip will be actually weaker than I usually shoot in practice. Because in practice, I program myself how to shoot in practice as well. So if one time I didn't have time to walk through because I was late and I was the first shooter, and then the grip was horrible. The first shot was alpha, and most of the second shot was very low because the gun was tipping down. And then from the second stage, I programmed everything, and I go to that spot, and then I actually, in walkthrough, I do this. And when I do this, I actually grip the grip pressure I want. I have to grip it before I actually shoot it. For me.
But are you thinking about it as you're shooting, though?
Oh, when I actually shoot, I shoot as I programmed.
Okay, so it's...
See, and I just practice it so much in dry fire that I don't even have to think about it. Like, that's the whole point of dry fire, at least what Steve Anderson says, is you practice a thing so many times or repetition so many times that eventually it just becomes second nature. You know what I mean? At least that's what's worked for me. Like, in a match, I don't even think about, like, my draw, reloads, or, like, I don't even think about reloads anymore. It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
I would say that every once in a while I'll find that on it usually is the first stage of the day, and it's not even all the time. Maybe half the time when I shoot a match, first stage, the first array or something, I'll feel like the gun is jumpy, and then I'll remember oh yeah, you're not gripping as hard as you should be, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, even still, that goes away the more I dry fire. If I haven't touched the gun for a week or two, which doesn't happen very much anymore, but if I hadn't touched a gun for a week or two and I went and shot, I bet the first 10 rounds out of the gun, or 8 now with this gun, would be jumpy. And then after that, I'd be like, oh yeah, make a reload and grip harder.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend, Kenny, there was really bad moments of grip for me, and it caught me off guard because I wasn't used to it. I'm like, this is horrible. And so I think, as far as getting out of hibernation, it's like Kwani's been doing. I gotta get that grip better. You know what I mean? So, anyways.
We can move to the next topic now.
So next topic we're going to do is for Area 1, which is in my backyard. So
St. George,
St. George, close, Salt Lake. But
Salt Lake. Dang it, St. George's berries. Sorry. My bad.
but basically, it went live, Friday? Yeah, Friday, I think. Maybe Thursday. 287 shooters have signed up.
What's
So, Caps 500.
okay?
Caps 500, I'm just looking at the numbers right now. 44 production shooters as of right now. And then 9 of them are masters.
How many single stack shooters? 3, 4?
Let me check that real quick.
How are you looking that up, Wyatt?
Command F.
Oh, gotcha.
Command F on the squad lists. There's 19.
Hey,
Yep.
that's pretty good.
So I wanted to talk something about Area 1 though. So last year, Area 1 was about 14 stages, 13 stages, but this year it's going to be 16 stages. It's going to be much bigger, and I know the range at Area 1. It's going to be the range 2014 Nationals, the same range, right?
No.
So, oh no, okay.
No.
But anyways, it's going to be a big match. And I wanted to know what you guys gonna prepare to have that big match. In club match, it's pretty easy, but I want to know how you guys are gonna do big matches. Anything special you guys are preparing?
Yeah. Who wants to start that off?
Okay.
I can start it off. I could start it off. Just knowing this club. Hate to say it, I would be very, very surprised, and I'm hoping Steve watches this because I really want him this way. But I would be surprised if they weren't a little bit hosey. Like just the way that Utah was. I mean, Utah wasn't the easiest shots, but it wasn't like at Idaho. There were some mother bear targets.
Yeah.
We always have hard targets.
Yeah, I mean, almost every single target was a target.
I think a big contributor to what we shot at Utah State was the bay size. A lot of the bays there aren't very big and long, and so you have a lot of targets in a short amount of space, which naturally leads to hosing unless you've got a lot of hard cover and no shoots. And so, I mean, they're in the process of reworking the bays now, Juani. And so, I mean, Wyatt can be our little spy on the ground, you know. But as far as that, it's really going to depend on what they do to those bays. They're going to have to add more bays, but you know maybe they'll elongate some of these. So
I know that I really hope he designs my stage or he picks my stage for a stage design.
So you're talking the range over there, bays are pretty small?
Correct. They're short. They're not so. They're wide. They're kind of wider, but they're not deep. So all the targets have to be kind of set up in a way for that to work out, if that makes sense.
Is there any 50 yards or 35 yards bay?
Yeah, they have a 100-yard bay. So
yeah, and I mean they've got a lot of Wild West. I don't want to say decor. A lot of Wild West props, you know, like a stagecoach and just stuff like that, a jailhouse, a church, and that's one of the biggest draws for me to go to Utah is to go shoot different type of stuff like that. And so that does get in the way of some of the bays. You know, you've got a big old, you know, mini jailhouse, but it does add to the appeal of it. You know, running through a jail and stuff like that is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's 16 stages. I'd bet 350 rounds, you think? 400 maybe? Well, it's 16 stages. I mean, you think the average stage is what, 20 rounds?
Well, the Nationals was, what, 425-ish or 450 rounds with 20 stages.
Yeah, I bet it'll be close to 400. I would bet.
Now, does the club have a lot of steel? Are we going to be expecting a lot of steel poppers, or is it going to be a lot of cardboard?
I would expect every single one of Farley's inventions. Yeah, every single one of his. The newer bobbers, the one that always changes which way it's going to go first and it doesn't ever reset properly. The,
double vision.
I love that.
The pump is kind of long stage scenarios, like high round count or low round count.
You know, I don't think it's going to have I don't think it's going to have huge stages. I mean, Idaho or Utah State. I mean, what was there like? They were all medium courses. I guess there wasn't a short course, was there?
No. And Juani, I'm gonna say this, and it's probably gonna bite me in the butt, but I'm really not expecting a lot of long range precision shooting. So I'm probably personally, I'm not gonna, get back to your question. I'm not gonna focus on a lot of 30 round or 30 yard hardcover type stuff. I really don't see that coming from that range. With that said, they may be drawing in stages from outside of the Utah area, and somebody else may be incorporating that. But just from the layout of the bays and what like what Wyatt's saying from the past history, I'm not expecting a lot of long, hard shots.
Then again, I mean, they put it on some good stages.
They do. They do.
For what they have as far as their size goes, they put on some damn good stages. So it's like they'll do a good job. I'm working on accuracy until Area 2. Like, up until then, my practice, like last week, was 28-yard partials. You know how the partials were set up at Nationals, how like you could see like this much alpha zone, the lower alpha zone? That was my 28-yard partial drill. And so I kind of worked on that a little bit. But that'll be my practice until Area 2. So I don't really know if I want to work on that up to Area 1 because I'll already be working on it for 2.5 months. So, what about you, Kenny?
I think the more and more that I shoot single stack, it's just a mental shift from limited. Limited is so aggressive, and it's like there's almost nothing that can happen during a stage that can't be remedied with a couple of makeup shots and doing 2 reloads instead of 1. Which isn't to say that it's not fun, that it's not challenging, because it is. It's just different. In single stack, it comes down to not making mistakes. So I will probably practice like exclusively without a timer, which I don't use a timer very much right now. I really like a start beep, just because it's jarring. Sometimes it'll be to draw, or sometimes I'll be on target and I'll just be prepping and just like pull, and then when I hear the beep, it's like the indicator of like, oh, the steel fell. You know what I mean? And like, now reload, now run, now whatever. I probably will not do that. I will probably work on reloads a ton over and over and over again. And if it seems like it's going to be kind of hosey, especially then, I'll work on like trying to get reloads done and back up on target in 2 steps or 3 steps, because there's probably going to be a lot of room for stuff like that. Like hop over to the left, shoot 6, 7, 8 rounds or whatever, and then two-step reload, and then gun right back up. And that's when you can, if you get into that speed mode, at least for me, if you get into that speed mode and get stuck into it, yeah, you are shaving tenths off your reloads and draws, but the consistency, especially for a 16-stage match, if you botch 1 reload really hard and it costs you a second, there go 10 good reloads, that you shaved a tenth off. So that'll be my focus, is to minimize errors.
But if there's if it's gonna be 400 rounds match, at least 40 reloads for production, I guess.
Yeah, more like what's 8 into that? 50.
Yeah.
I hardly ever go to 10. I mean, most of the time it's 8, so closer to 50. What are you gonna work on, Eric?
Well, I'm kind of, I got very.
Like.
Well, I got the Barry Steel match prior to that, and so I'm probably going to be working a lot on steel-related type stuff, because steel is my nemesis. In fact, that cost me, I did pretty well at Idaho State last year, but the steel stages really hurt me. And so I'm going to be working on that, and then I've got 2-3 weeks before Area 1. Then I'm going to kind of transition to more medium-type distances, maybe like 15 to 20. Because of the bays that I expect out of Utah. But like I said, since I've got the Barry Steel open prior to that, I'm going to be working on a lot of steel. Texas Stars, anything I can think of that they'll have that I'm just doing really poorly on right now.
Swingers, or not a swinger, but expect a...
Polish plate rack? Or
no, it's a... you know how they use them for shotguns? How you have to...
Oh, the Death Star.
No, it's like a... like you have to hit the top... And it's a spinner. That's what it's called.
Spinners.
They can't have it in Area 1, though. That's not a...
No, we're talking berries. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was steel match. So
no,
I'm a little biased because I really want to do well at the Barry Steel, so I'm going to be focusing on that. And then, I'll probably get my fill of steel, so then I'll transition to, like I said, it's a medium course paper.
You're shooting production, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just because I bought the single stack, I'm still production hardcore. I want to get my master in production. The single stack was kind of like a fun thing. I couldn't pass up the deal. But I mean, after playing with this stupid thing, I'm like, what masochist would want to shoot this? I mean, look at this thing. It's like flat. It won't go in. So, but you know, this will help me with my grip, and it'll just be kind of fun to hang out with Kenny and shoot same thing he is. So.
Yeah, for me, Area 1, I'm probably going to shoot a lot of moving targets in practice, especially swinger. And I watched a couple of Utah matches in Utah, and I observed a lot of moving targets and weird targets that I've never seen. Especially the one with target over here and then plates on the side, things like that.
Oh, yeah, that's one of Farley's.
Yeah, so do you guys think there's going to be a lot of moving targets, activated targets?
So I know that if they pick my stage, it will have 2 swingers on a moving platform from one position, and then it'll have no chutes underneath it. So that'll be and then like I said, I would expect every single one of Farley's contraptions. So that's 2 double visions, 2 of the ones with the plates on them, 2 bobbers, stuff like that. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of moving targets. I mean,
so I'm going to be training, not just focusing on swingers or anything. I want to be focusing on tracking targets, so I could shoot all the moving targets.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. And Kenny, you wanted to talk about something?
Oh, I was gonna say we were talking about what could we tack on to the Area 1 discussion. I was gonna say for like a subtopic, what did you learn from your last match, or your last match video, or your last live fire practice? Maybe not dry fire, because dry fire is like this evolutionary. You're always doing the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But last time you shot a gun, what did you learn from the aftermath of it?
I could go first. So I uploaded my video on YouTube. My last match, which was first match of this year after hibernation, was actually a limited division. I shot my Glock with 20 rounds in it. It was really fun. And yeah, like I said, I shot major power factor, and my second shot wasn't as satisfying. So I kind of knew grip problem over there. But something else really struck me was that I could actually run faster and more aggressive. So there was this one stage with gun on table, and then you're standing behind this fault line, and maybe it's about 3 to 4 steps to the gun. And then as I heard a bit, I was focusing on the beat, but I wasn't really planning on how I'm gonna be explosively moving. So I was just thinking, I think I was second shooter, so I didn't have much time. I didn't do walkthrough in the morning at the time that much. So I kind of skipped how explosive I'm gonna move. So my movement after bib to the gun was kind of like, oh, there's the bib. Okay, let's move, grab. It was kind of like that. It was kind of unexpected. So there was an issue. It was a walkthrough issue, and there were other spots that I could actually run explosively more, and there was something I thought of. So when I have a break, most of the errors are coming from stage programming for me. I mean, I didn't lose my speed. I can still run fast. I can move aggressively, but most of the mistake for me comes from walkthrough. And that's what I need to do.
Now, Juani, do they have the stages already set up before you get there?
Yeah. Almost all the time, they set it up the day before.
And then you can just walk through like a major match. That'd be pretty cool.
In the morning, but I had to drive, 2 hours to get there.
Yeah, we get a power walkthrough. And it's basically see some activators, talk about some special notes, and then it's bam, go shoot.
I don't even go to those anymore. I just stick to one stage, like whatever stage I'm going to start on. Yeah. Like I find out as soon as possible what stage I'm going to start on, and I go there for the full.
Now in Utah, are you guys setting up the day of, the morning of?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, we are too. That's what we do here in Idaho.
Yeah. I guess for my last match, I learned that dry fire. Well, I already kind of knew this, but dry fire specifically is showing the results that I want in a match. So a few things I've been working on are getting reloads done in less than 2 steps, or shooting on the move to head boxes, distance change-up, that type of thing. One thing I noticed with my distance change-up is I was going slow out to the far target and then also slow to the in target. And so my last footage showed a 30 transition to the far target, but then a 19 to 20 onto the close target, if that makes sense. It's like little stuff that I've kind of been tracking as far as what my times are, and it's just kind of nice to be able to see those all start to get faster, basically, and more consistent.
Yeah. So I only had 2 videos that were recorded from my last match, which was Sunday. And I can come up with all kinds of excuses. It was cold. I couldn't feel my hands. My panties were on too tight. But when it comes down to it, I think my mental game is what really screwed me up. I've got to work on my grip again, like what you already talked about. But a couple of the failures I had, watching them on video, I made them worse than what they needed to be. Kenny, you can vouch for this. I started on a plate. I started on some center steel. And then I came into a Texas Star, and it was bad. And I just kept powering through instead of, reassessing what I needed to hit those plates. And I did a standing reload. I finally got through the Texas Star, and then I had 2 small poppers that I just went World War II on. I didn't need to. I should have just taken
fire.
Yeah, exactly. I should have just taken a breath and went pink, pink, and the stage would have been done. But instead, I was like bang, 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 bang. And then my biggest failure was on this really hard memory stage. There was 2 pieces of steel, and one activated a swinger. And I went tink, tink, and I moved on, and then I was coming back to the swinger, and the swinger wasn't there. And so I went to the steel, and watching the video, all I had to do was go back to the steel and go back to the swinger, and I would have lost an extra second or 2. But instead, I went full retard and hosed the whole rest of the stage. And I got 5 freaking mics because of that. 2 of them were totally missing a target, didn't even look at it. Didn't get a failure to engage, thank God. But it was awful. And at watching the video, I'm like, that was all mental. It did not need to go that much worse than what it was. I let it, and I created that situation. And so, I'm going to get back to focusing and getting my mental game back into it. So that's what I learned from my video.
Yeah.
Did you already go, Kenny?
No, not yet. I would say my worst stage from Sunday was the first one we shot. And I got really lucky, and I got a reshoot on it because the first time it went really, really bad.
I was smiling a lot behind him as I was ROing.
So then the second time I got to shoot it, it still went poorly. But what I didn't do was change my stage plan, and I totally should have, because I had bounced back and forth between basically the first position. It was an all steel stage, thanks to Steiner. And of course, they're 8-round arrays, and I've got an 8-round gun, so that's great. He's got a buffer, and I have very little. I get a +1, so that's my buffer. The first array was, it was a turn and draw, and you get to the corner of a box and you lean hard left, and there's 2 mini poppers, and then a plate rack that's at about, what do you think, maybe 12 to 15 yards. It was it was out there a little bit. It's not a 7-yard plate rack or anything. And so it's an 8-round array, and I've got 9 in the gun. And the way I had programmed it, because it was the way that everybody else was doing it, was to shoot popper as you're kind of setting your foot, and then to lean out and shoot the plate rack. And I did that the first time. It didn't go well at all. And I thought, maybe I should set my foot and, get to where I need to get, lean out to the hard target, shoot that one, because I only have 1 round that I can miss. If I miss 1 round or 1 plate, then I'm going to go to slide lock. If I miss 2, then I have to make a reload. And what you really don't want to do is make a reload and then lean back out to a really hard shot. I would rather make a reload and just take 2 poppers as I'm backing out, or at least standing up to get out of this position. But what you really don't want to have to do is make a oh crap emergency reload and then lean back out. So what ended up happening was exactly that. I went I hit the first 2 mini poppers. I think I went hit, miss on the plate rack, and then hit, and then miss. And I'm like, okay. So now I got to make a reload. And I push back out, miss low, push back out, miss low, push back out, hit. And I'm like, ugh, you're kidding me. So moral of the story is, for me at least, and this is leftover that I'm still learning, moving to single stack from limit, and it's just so much easier said than done, which is pick the safer stage plan and execute it really well, instead of pick the stage plan that, like, from the outside is like, oh yeah, but I bet it's a half second to maybe a second at the most faster. Like coming in on those 2 mini poppers when I didn't really have to lean, at the most would have saved a second, but it ended up costing me much more than that, because you get this, this pressure. You know that, like, oh, I just went to slide lock, I have one more round to shoot, I got to stick a reload, shoot one more plate, and then make another reload as I move to another position to shoot a whole bunch more steel. And yeah, so that would be my lesson learned, is pick the more conservative stage plan and just execute it awesome, instead of pick the stage plan, at least for the low cap divisions, that may be a little bit riskier, and try and go all out on them. Unless you've got extra rounds in the gun. If it's like an array of, like, say it was like an activator steel and then like a paper, and then a swinger or something, for instance, well, that's 7 rounds and I got 9 in the gun. That's probably a risk you could be willing to take. But when you're already running at the edge, and it was just a really bad time to have like a coin flip of a decision and choose the riskier one over the safer one. So
let me tell you how lucky Kenny was, guys. I was ROing. He had 2 standing reloads, maybe 3 standing single stack reloads. Okay. He gets to the very last piece of steel on the Texas Star, and it falls. Like he hit the arm or something, and it falls. Automatic reshoot. Last shot he had to get off, and he gets a reshoot on the last shot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Better be looking good, dude. You know what I mean?
There you go.
I said that. I said exactly that. I'm like, hey, I got nothing to complain about. And I did better. I mean, I bettered my time by a lot, because the second run, basically that first position went very poorly again, but the next 2 positions went fine, because I pulled my head out of my ass and said, you need to aim. This is all steel. It's your first stage. No see front sight, pull trigger. You need to see front sight absolutely perfect within the rear notch, and then pull the trigger nice. Don't slap it. So I got that in my head by the second array, and then the second and third arrays went well.
Yeah.
So.
I did the math, because I had the match on my phone, and I took away the bomb that I had, which happened to be the largest point stage of the day. It would have taken me up to 5th overall for the whole match versus 12th, because of that bombed, high point stage. It was awful. So. Yeah,
I'll say this too. So because the guy that I compare myself the most to when we shoot is Zach, range lawyer. And because when we both have good days, we run very, very close to each other. It used to be other guys shooting limited, now shooting low cap. It's the 2 of us that are real close to each other. I was behind him by 6 seconds for the match, and I was behind him by like 5.9 something seconds on that one stage. So it was like the whole rest of the match. But when you tank your first stage, all you can do is just forget about it and move on. But when you tank your first stage, the damage is done. Especially at a club match, and ours was unusually short. Usually it's 6 stages, and it was only 5 because it was cold. And they only saw 5.
I have a question. I'll just ask it when we're done with the show. That's okay.
Okay. I think we need to wrap it up right there, guys.
Cool.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.
You guys.